Hey guys, Ookazi here, and today we're gonna see if I can beat Yu-Gi-Oh! Over the Nexus with just my starter deck. With that, let's get started. Oh, before I forget, here are the rules. You can pause the video if you actually want to see them too. And with that, let's get started already. So we begin by naming our player character, and I'm an R because that's pretty much the third letter of my name. If you missed the other two letters, you can pretty much find them in the playlist on the first two videos that I posted of this series. And don't worry, it's basically at the beginning, so you don't have to worry that much on how far it is. It's pretty much the beginning, so you can pretty much find it immediately if you want to know my name. And with that, let's continue. But anyway, we begin the story crashed on pretty much where I live. I ever dream of becoming the best duelist, but while we were getting to the good part, Klaus wakes me up and tells me that my dream will never happen. And wait, how do you know about my dream? I gotta go to the mine, see ya. That was weird, but anyway, I meet up with Nico and West, two of my closest friends, and they asked me to meet them at the hideout, so we can pass time until the car shop opens. After dueling them and finishing some puzzles, we basically go to the car shop where they're hosting a rental deck duel tournament, where we face off with, you guessed it, rental decks. Now, you might be thinking I basically lost the challenge already, but you're mistaken if you think I've lost already. You see, it's not mandatory for me to win. So I could just pretty much just pick a deck, simply not use it at all, and just wait until I can surrender or my opponents just pretty much beat me. So I did just that, and I pretty much went through the whole tournament without failing the challenge at all, which was amazing. Huh, guys? Big brain here, big brain. But anyway, after the tournament I was heading home until I met up with a guy called Bronson, who was a tournament participant that I replaced. He got angry that I replaced him, so he challenged me to a duel, and we all know who won here. After beating him, he remarks that I did well waiting in his place. The joke's on him, I lost every duel. Anyway, after all of that I went home, Klaus was there and he told me that tomorrow we're gonna basically go shopping at Satellite. I took a nap and woke up the next day, and before we leave I went to get some lunch that Nico prepared for me. And after that I was ready to go. Before we can go, Toro came to ask me a favor, and oh yeah, I didn't talk about this guy earlier. Well, here he is. Okay, anyway, he gave me a list of duel parts and some money to buy them. With that, me and Klaus went to Satellite. And wait, what are you gonna buy here anyway? I gotta go. Well, okay, anyway, after that I went to buy the parts when I met up with a little girl named Lily who is lost and asked me to help her find Crow. We find them and then she starts crying, and Crow gets the wrong idea and mistook me for a kidnapper and duels me. After beating him, Lily clears the misunderstanding, then Crow apologizes and then leaves with Lily. After all of that I met with a shady guy called Gordon who recommended me a shop and tells me to tell them that Gordon sent me. After purchasing the parts I was ready to eat the lunch that Nico prepared for me until Gordon bumps into me and makes me drop the lunch. I'm gonna kill him. So I chased them to be stopped by some gangsters, but the boys are here to help me out. So meanwhile the boys are holding them off, I went to confront Gordon and make him pay for what he did to my lunch. Okay, calm down bro. Okay, first of all, okay, let's duel, and if you win, I'll give you the parts back. And your lunch money. What? And your lunch money. Okay, I'll give you the lunch money. Jesus. Okay, let's just duel already. That's for your lunch money, and oh yeah, the parts. Gimme. Thanks. Alright, see ya. On my way out, I meet with the boys or Team Satisfaction. Well, half of them at least. And they introduce themselves as Yosei and Callan. Yosei checks the parts that I got back and tells me it's just pretty much garbage stuck together. And then Callan asks me where the shop is so we can have a word with them. After a while, he basically comes out of the shop with Turo's money. He gives me the money. And then Yosei asks if I have a list of parts. And I give him the list. He's like, okay, if you have more time, wait for a few seconds. I'll be right back. So he basically runs off somewhere, I don't know. When he went, I basically asked Callan where Jack is so I can thank him for helping me out. He told me Jack basically hangs around the supposedly new card shop. Bro, that place looks disgusting. Like, bro, what the heck? I went to actually thank Jack. He basically told me, oh, you're a duelist, so let's duel. That'll be a better thanks for me. So I dueled him, beat him up without any problems. I mean, come on, guys, I'm a monster here. Then Callan showed up. He was like, oh, that was an interesting duel. Duel me too. Went up against him. Slapped him in the face, beat him no problem. Like, guys, come on, I'm not even at my full strength yet, and I'm pretty much just throwing a fraction of my true powers. But after beating him, after that he walked away happy, and then Yoshi shows up with the parts and he gives me the parts, and I basically wanted to pay him for what he did. He was like, no thanks, it's the least that I can do. But he was like, okay, but if you want to pay me back, let's at least duel, because I saw Callan running away happy. So I dueled him, slapped him, guys. I'm unstoppable. I'm a monster here. No one can stop this. No one. But okay, let me relax for a second. Anyway, after all of that, I basically thanked him for helping me out. I said my goodbyes, and then I went back home. The next day I went to Toro to give him the parts he needed, and then I flexed on him that I met Team Satisfaction. He tells me that's pretty cool and tells me to go tell Wes because he'll pretty much flip if he finds out. So I went to Nico and West, flexed on them that I met team satisfaction. Meanwhile, I was flexing. Toro comes along and he tells us he's done with his duel runner and so we can go check it out. So we go to check it out, and after he showcased it, he asked me if I would love to take it for a spin. And god, his duel runner is slow as heck. After running his slow ass duel runner, I went back to my house so I can go take a nap. Next day, Toro wakes us up and tells us he'll be moving to New Domino City and to also say his goodbyes. The next day comes along and the war between Malcolm and Roman starts to get really serious. Wes comes to my house and asks if Nico is here, but she wasn't, so I went to look for her at the hideout while Klaus looks after Nico. Now this part of the game I was pretty scared because I have to fight against 3 strong opponents, but the truth is I managed to beat them without any problems and managed to bring Nico back to my house. When I brought her back home, Klaus suggested I should stay over until things die down. On the next day, Klaus tells me that he brought Nico and Wes back to the house and also asked me how many people I dueled yesterday. I told him 3 and he said okay, let's make it 4. So I dueled him and beat him without any problems. After beating him, he sees I'm ready and shows me an underground passage under my bed where there's a duel runner. He then tells me a story that my mom and my dad rode duel runners with Toro's parents, but they got in an accident and died with Toro's parents. That's the main reason he doesn't want me to actually pretty much use duel runners, because he doesn't want that to happen to me. Because he knows how much I love duel runners, so he let me have it. And to also tell me that we're moving to New Domino City. Before I go, I should tell Nico and West. After Nico and West and saying my goodbyes, I went to Klaus to tell him I'm ready, so we went to New Domino City, and this is where my story truly begins. After arriving, Klaus tells me I should look around, so I looked around and met with a mysterious girl who knows my name, and tells me if I want to know how she knows my name, I have to beat her in a duel. Now guys, I gotta be honest, when I was dueling here I was really scared because I just fought one of the 3 strong opponents that I was talking about a few minutes ago. And I beat him the first try, but I was so scared that I was gonna lose against him, and I didn't. But because of that fear, I lost against Misaki twice. But I managed to calm down enough to beat her this 3rd time. After beating her, she tells me to follow her, and I don't know about you guys, but when a cute girl asks me to follow her, I'll definitely follow her. But anyway, went to a garage and look who it is, it's our boy Toro. He looks surprised. I told him I just moved here. He introduced the girl next to him as Misaki, a turbo duelist, and also to ask if I want to join their team. But before we could celebrate, I needed a duel runner. Good thing my parents left me one. It's missing some parts. Toro suggested to go talk with Bootleg because he might know someone with duel runner parts. I went to Bootleg and he tells me he knows someone, but I have to finish 3 puzzles before he can tell me who it is. After finishing the puzzles with my big brain, he gives me a list and tells me to go meet a guy named Blister at an apartment building. Good thing he lives where I live, so I go to Blister, get the parts, then he tells me I should go towards the underground dueling center because there's probably gonna be a part there. I went there, found an engine, went back to the garage, met Misaki. She was like, oh, there's a frame in the plaza. Went to the plaza. Now Blister's like, good timing, you're here. We got a frame here because Bull is gonna throw everything away. Bolt is like, oh, well, now that someone wants it, I want to keep it and stuff. Then Misaki comes along and she's like, oh, this is open? I was about to just break this whole thing down and just grab that. And the funniest thing ever, Misaki, a true savage. But anyway, she misunderstands the situation and she's like, oh, you guys don't want to give it to us? Okay, let's duel and then you'll give it to us. So we dueled them, beat them no problem, and I accidentally used one of Misaki's cards. It was pretty much because of X's pairs effect. I activated by accident. I didn't even read the card, I just activated it. And because of that, I pretty much just like used one of her cards to give X the spirit back in my deck. So sorry about that, I didn't know. But anyway, we lost in the duel that we used that card, and we managed to beat them on the 2nd try. After beating them, we finally started repairs on the duel runner and finished on that exact day. The next day comes along and I cannot wait to take a first spin. Now, Toro asked me for a turbo duel, and you guys know me with my big brain and amazing dueling skills. I managed to beat him on the 1st try. After beating him, a guy by the name Breo comes along and he's like, oh, you guys are on my road and stuff, but this is actually a public road. But he's like, okay, I don't care. If you guys really want to ride here, you have to beat me in a race. So we pretty much obliged. We went up against them, and before I raced them, I basically bought some upgrades for my duel runner. They're not that big, but after buying the upgrades, upgrading my duel runner, I lost against them twice, even with the upgrades, but I managed to beat him the 3rd time after I basically learned the controls and got comfortable with it. After the race, Toro Misaki's duel runner got damaged, but lucky yes, we met with Crow, who knows awesome mechanic. We told Crow where our garage is and went to our garage so we can just check out on our duel runners and stuff. Meanwhile, we're checking out duel runners. Klaus comes along pretty much panicking and he gives us a letter just saying in all caps, help. He tells us it's from Nico and West, and by the look of it, something big has happened to Crashtown. But the problem is our duel owners are damaged, except mine. So set off to my old town, and oh boy, here comes chapter 5. I'm gonna have a bad time with this one. Anyway, I arrived at Crashtown and went straight to Nico and West to need my help finding their dad because he hasn't come home in a while. They say the best way to find out is to ask the Malcolms where he is. So I went to their bar and I met with one of Malcolm's cronies. I asked him if I can talk with their boss, but he was like, no. The only way you can talk with the boss is if you beat me in a duel. So I dueled him, and man, he was pretty tough. It took me 4 tries to beat him. After beating him, their boss Malcolm comes along and he's like, oh, you do pretty good. And what do you want? I told him I want to know where Nico and West's dad is, and he's like, okay, I can tell you. Only if you beat me in a duel though. And I was like, oh my god, dang, I gotta beat this guy in a duel now. Now guys, dueling him, I was pretty scared because, I mean, imagine, it took me 4 tries to beat this mere lackey, so imagine him. But lucky me, it took me only 2 tries. After beating him, he says he'll tell me, but I have to beat someone else tomorrow. So I pretty much accepted. I went back to Nico and West and told them the news. The next day comes along and I find my next opponent, who is none other than Callan. Now he uses Infinity Monster cards that pretty much revolve around the whole thing having no cards in your hand so you can use their effects. Now the only reason I'm saying this is because around this point in the game, the characters become way stronger. Only in chapter 5 you have to worry about it. In chapter 6 and 7 they're pretty much just cakewalks, so you don't have to worry that much about that. But anyway, I faced up against Callan and I lost against him the first try, but I managed to beat him the second try. After winning, Yossi comes out and tells us to get ready because it's time for us to escape. But the thing is, this was a whole trap set up by the Malcolms so they can take down the Romans. And even worse, Malcolm's brother is coming tomorrow, and that's when the war is really gonna begin. We couldn't do anything but just surrender. They threw us in the mines where we'll be working for the rest of our lives. I didn't like the sound of that, so I tried to find an escape route. But I basically bumped into Nico and West's dad, who's working here. You see, if you lose a duel against the Romans, you'll be sent straight to the mines where you'll be working for the rest of your lives. But anyway, I met up with Yossi and Callan who found an escape route. We told Sergio, Nico and West's dad, to come with us, but he didn't want to because he's given up. Good thing we have Yossi to talk him out of his funk. When we were walking, a boulder came tumbling down on his way to hit Callan, but Sergio pushed him out of the way, sacrificing his only chance to see his kids. But before he fell, he asked Callan 2 things. For him to look after his kids, and if he can save the town. For those last words, he fell to his death. And wait, you guys think he died? Oh, don't worry, he's alive in the post game. But anyway, with Callan's resolve and the promise to save the town and protect Sergio's kids, we got to the mines and met up with Turo and Misaki. Now with everyone here, it's time to save my home. Now we arrived back to town and we bumped into one of Malcolm's cronies. Now Yossi said he'll basically handle him because our main objective right now is to save Nico and West. We left him and then we bumped into Roman. I told Callan going ahead I'll handle him, and I beat him on the first try. He plays a Haman Crystal Beast deck, which I got pretty lucky, didn't manage to summon Haman on like a few turns. But anyway, I was lucky he wasn't able to do any combos because if he did, I'd be in a bad spot. But anyway, after beating him, I caught up with Callan, who just finished Malcolm, and we were ready to go to Nico and West, but Malcolm's brother, Lotan, blocked our path. Now, he was so cocky that he said he'll take us both on, but because it's 2v1, he'll start with 10 cards. Now, he plays a burn deck, and if you guys don't know what a burn deck is, or burn damage, I put a link in the description so you can find out. But anyway, now on the first try, I accidentally used Callan's MST, and people see me using a card that's not in my deck. Now, you might be thinking I'm cheating here, but the thing is, the rules say I can't use my tag partner's cards. It doesn't say I can't use my opponent's cards. With that, it only took me 3 tries to beat him, and after beating him, he resorted to calling for his lackeys because he's too chicken to accept his defeat. Too bad for him, Crow, Jack, Yossi, Turo, and Misaki took care of all of them. Now with his lackeys gone and team satisfaction back, he had nothing else to do but to just surrender. After all of that, charging the securities took them all in. Callan told us he told Nico and West what happened to their dad, and it's probably gonna be a while before they can recuperate. Yossi asked Callan what he's gonna do now, and Callan said he'll stay here to protect the town, Nico and West. He'll stay to protect Crash Town. No, wait, Satisfaction Town. After all of that, me, Turo, and Misaki were talking about getting ready for the tournament. While we were talking, Misaki found one of Yossi's tools that he left while he was working here and asked me to go bring them to him, so I went to his garage, and meanwhile we were talking, Trojamina showed up to inform us about an unknown turbo duelist who's going around taking down other turbo duelists. They can't ID the guy, but they know he goes by the name of Ghost, which sounds so cool. Knowing all of that, I went to Misaki and Toru told them the news. Toru was like, probably there's someone taking some turbo duels down before the tournament. He was like, better be careful. So, and there was that day, which I don't know why, we went and trained. Meanwhile, I was ready my duel runner, so-called Ghost, came towards me and he said, the only way you can beat me if you summon a Mech Lord Emperor. Now, I was pretty scared, but the thing is, you don't have to worry that much because if your deck doesn't revolve around synchro summoning, you're pretty much gonna be fine. Because the main thing of the Mech Lords, like, first of all, they can only be special summoned on the field if one of your monster cards is destroyed, pretty much in the sense of them. So if their monster card is destroyed, boom, you can bring them on the field, and one of their effects is they can equip one of your synchro monster cards to them and gain their attack too. But you have to read that much because if your deck doesn't revolve around synchros, you're gonna be fine. And even if they're like, let's say 25 attack, they're not actually that crazy. If you have a card that can destroy some of the field, you're gonna be fine. But anyway, after beating him on the first try, Misaki and Toru asked me if I'm okay. I told him I was fine, but now that we know what we're up against, we have to get stronger. A few days pass along and Crow comes along and introduces us to one of his friends, Akiza Inziski, who was pretty much a rookie turbo duelist, and asked us if we want to train with them. We obliged and went with them at the Outer Rim. Now, my first opponent was Akiza, and if you guys seen my Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's Let's Play, you know how bad I am against her. But on this day, I was angry. You see, I couldn't upload my RE2 video that day. And you see, I use data, and let me explain how it goes. So pretty much, the thing is, I use data from a company that has this unlimited bundle thing where you can pretty much like pay a specific amount for a specific day. So let's say 5 a day, 24-hour unlimited, 10 3-day unlimited, and then you can pay 21 for pretty much a whole week, and eventually it goes higher. So I have the data plan, right? And they have this whole rule where you only have 24 hours of light speed internet. And if you just over exceed it, if you just go, let's say if I upload like 3 videos, it'll pretty much go down immediately. So the thing is, my video uploaded, I was uploading my video and it restarted 4 times. And eventually the whole 24-hour rule just came up and I had 2 GB speed. It was the slowest thing ever, and it was around like 9. And the thing is, I'll get my light speed back at around midnight. So I had to pretty much wait till midnight so I can upload my video. And I did eventually upload the video around like probably 4 in the morning. But man, I was pissed off that day because like that was not a comfortable day for me. But anyway, with my absolute anger that day, I defeated Akiza without any problems on the first try. My next opponent was Crow, who uses Black Wings, and I'm terrible against Black Wings. But right now, I'm angry. And with that anger, I defeated him with no problem on the first try. After beating him, I went back to my house to just take a nap so I can just relax a little bit. Around the middle of the night, someone was running the duel runner and keeping everyone awake. The next day, Klaus tells me it's probably Toru because he's pretty much excited for the tournament. So I went to the garage, then Misaki comes in, and we were like, why are we running our duel runner? And Toru was like, it wasn't me. And Misaki was telling him, yeah, it's you because I recognize that engine. But the thing is, his duel runner was stolen that day. That's why we heard it last night, because someone was taking it away. Toru stormed out to find out who did it, and Misaki suggested I go talk with Yoshi because he'll probably know something. So I went to the garage and bumped into Trajimina and Jack, who were there because Jack's duel runner was stolen. And to the person who stole his duel runner, man, you got some balls on you. But anyway, Trajimina started talking about the weird uprising of duel runner parts circulating a satellite. They told me to do anything crazy and left. Now with everything I know, the only place in satellite that sells duel runner parts where I bought those duel runner parts for Toru back then. So I went there and talked with the guy who sold me those trash parts a while back and told him to tell me where he's getting his goods. He said I'd only talk if I beat him in a duel. Now at this point I was still angry because I wasn't able to upload my video, which is pretty funny because I managed to upload them literally the next day. But anyway, after losing against him, I managed to calm down a little bit. I managed to beat him on the second try. After beating him, he tells me he got his duel runner parts from the port. So I went to the port and I heard 2 guys talking about how lucky they are to get Jack's duel runner. Now with that info, I was about to leave but bumped into the container that I was standing next to. They heard it. They told me to get out or else. I got out and they said, you heard us, so you're not getting out of here alive. But lucky me, Jack came to back me up. They got a little scared and said if Jack wants his duel runner back, we have to beat them in a duel. So we just did that. After beating them, they got scared and ran off. Jack chased after them to meet up with them again with someone else. Now the boss comes and says, take care of Jack, I'll take care of this one. Now this guy's deck is pretty stalled. I didn't even know that, and because of that I pretty much lost on the first try, but I managed to beat him on the second try. After beating him, Jack comes after beating the 3 other small fries, and the security come and say they have the whole place surrounded. Now their boss doesn't have anything else to do. He tries to escape in the water, but the thing is he can't actually swim. Now with them locked up and Turo and Jack getting their duel runners back, Turo wants to thank Jack for helping fighting his duel runner, and then Misaki comes and asks us if we want to train with, but Misaki can't go because she has to finish the program for a duel runner. Aki suggests she go talk with Bruno because he might know something about the whole thing. He goes to his garage and asks Bruno if he can help us out. He said no problem, I'll go straight to the garage. He went there. Then I told Yosei that Akiza was acting a little pruny because you weren't hanging out with her. He was like, okay, I'll go talk with her. So he left. Then I was about to leave, but I met up with Leo and Luna. Now Leo heard about me. He was like, oh, you're alright? So let's duel then. And we dueled. He pretty much demolished me. Don't worry guys, I'm actually a good Yu-Gi-Oh player. Please don't roast me about it. But anyway, after that I went back to the garage to find Turo, Bruno, and Misaki there. Misaki and Bruno were looking happy because they just finished the duel program. Misaki thanked Bruno. Bruno was like, no problem, anytime I'll help. Then he left. Misaki told us tomorrow we're gonna test this out, but we'll test it out tomorrow at Bay Parking. So the next day comes along and we're at Bay Parking. Misaki explains how the program works. It just gives us a small boost before the race. Meanwhile, we were racing. Jack comes along, but he looked different. Turo asked if he was okay. Jack told him, shut up. After I'm done with this guy, I'll finish you off. So we dueled. I lost the first time and pretty much got me a little irritated. And with that irritation, I pretty much beat him on the second try. After beating him, he crashes. Then we went to see if he's okay. Then the real Jack comes and tells us apparently this is actually a fake Jack that was ruining his name. After a few days passed, the VRGP has finally opened. We were pretty nervous for the tournament except me, but anyway, we got to the pits and started our game plan. Now we're going against Team Unicorn, and our lineup were Turo, Misaki, and me for last. Now the first duel is Turo versus Bear, and yes, he's the Bear from the highway, but he has changed since then, and his only goal is for his team to win. Now Turo and Breo went head to head, and thanks to Breo's deck destruction strategy, he managed to defeat Turo without any problems. Now it's Misaki's turn to go against Breo. Now Breo had a good defense, but Misaki managed to break through his defenses and defeat him without any problems. After Breo we have Andre, who managed to beat Misaki thanks to Breo weakening her down. She didn't go down without giving him quite a hard time. Now with Misaki down, I'm the last person left.
So, can I make a comeback and win this, or will I lose? Stay tuned to find out next time on Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's!
But anyway, I defeated Andre without no problem thanks to Misaki weakening him down, and now we have their last member, Jean. Now I was scared, but I managed to beat him on the first try. The next day comes and we're up against Team Catastrophe. Turo's lineup for today is Turo, me, then Misaki, but we don't have to worry about a thing because he'll handle all of them himself. First match is Turo versus Hans. Now Turo goes first and hits Hans with a barrage of attacks, taking him down without any problem. When Hans loses, he goes back to his pit and asks Herman why does he have to lose. Herman says so they can get their hopes up, so then they can crash it down. With those words, Herman goes up against Turo and launches a counterattack, but today Turo is unstoppable. With Turo about to win, Herman hits Turo with something that makes him crash. And when Turo crashes, Herman thinks he's won, but Turo, being the amazing guy he is, gets back up, grabs the runner, and keeps moving while he's injured. And the thing is, we can't help him because if we even touch him right now, we'll be automatically disqualified. So we really have to just sit there and wait for him to get here. And when he does get here, it's my turn to go. They will see what happens when you make me angry. After a while of waiting, Turo finally makes it back to the pit. And now that he's here, it's time for me to finally let loose. You know, today was supposed to be a special day, but you ruined it by almost killing him. And now, I think it's time for you.
Should killed him.
Calm down, bro. This is just a game. You and me know we're way past the point of this just being a game. So enough talking.
It's time for you to die.
So we dueled, and right now I don't care about the rules. We all agree, right? That I should go all out. So we dueled and I completely destroyed him. And after he lost, we have their final member, Nicholas. Now, he wasn't my main target, so I let him defeat me on purpose so I can take Herman again. And take him down again and again and again and again. No, I'm joking, guys. I'm joking. I calmed down already, so relax. Don't worry about it. But anyway, after losing against Nicholas, I pretty much took down Herman again, defeated him again, and then went against Nicholas and defeated him no problem. After beating him, he tries to do the same thing that Herman did to Turo, but that won't happen again. So I cranked it up and got far away from him, and the attack that was intended for me went straight back at him and hit him right in the face, making him crash. After that, Misaki went to them to give them quite a death stare. After that, we went to see if Turo is okay, and Turo told us the doctor said he'll be fine for the next match. Misaki went to him and smacked him for making us worry that he won't be able to race again. The next day comes, we're finally in the main event. We just have to beat 3 more teams and then we're at the finals. Meanwhile, we were talking, Yosei came to congratulate us on making it to the main event and also to ask Turo if he's okay because everyone is worried about him. He said he's fine and tell everyone that he's okay. Yosei said no problem, then told us that Crow is training at Bay Parking. So went to Bay Parking, met with Crow. He asked if Turo's okay, I told him he's fine, and hearing that we started our training. When I was ready my duel honor, I was teleported to a stone plate, then a voice gave me this blank card and said this will shape your destiny. Then I reappeared back on my duel honor. After that, Crow said I was pretty fast because he didn't even see me while I was writing my duel honor, and after hearing that I went back to my house to take a nap. The next day Turo came to my house to ask me if I want to train with him. If I do, he'll be at the outer rim. So I went to the outer rim and started my training. While I was training, a ton of ghosts came straight to the outer rim, taking down duel honors and destroying the city. They spotted me and started their attack. Okay guys, let's take him down. Fire! Okay, that happened. Let's try again. Fire! What the? How is he so good? Burn my breath! Anyway, I managed to dodge their attacks, but I don't think I could dodge them forever. But right at the last second, a mysterious duelist came and told me I'll handle them. So I listened and went. Meanwhile, I was going, I passed someone who then transformed into a duel honor and chased me down. Now, apparently, he's the one who sent those ghosts after me because he doesn't understand why the gods chose me. And because of me, everyone is fighting a ghost, even Turo, who's still recovering from his crash. And knowing that, I got angry. Now we dueled and he threw 3 Macular Emperors against me, but I destroyed them without any problem. After beating him, he just exploded, then I meet up with 2 people. When Jack and Yosei arrived, they introduced themselves as Jacob, Laster, and the other person I just destroyed a few minutes ago, Primo. Then they say they came to save the world, but to do that they have to destroy New Domino City, and there's nothing we can do to stop them. You guys are funny. You think we can stop you? Now first of all, I stopped one of you already, and by the looks of it, he's your second strongest member. So why did you guys just pack your bags, go back to where you came from, and never come back here? Before things get actually serious here. Huh. You're quite confident. Okay, how about this? If you beat us in the weird GP, we won't destroy New Domino City, but if we win, we'll destroy it. Deal? Okay, your funeral. Then it's decided. See you in the tournament. Oh no. Oh no, they're gonna kill us. They're gonna freaking kill us. Oh my god. Especially Primo, man. I humiliated that guy, bro. Like, come on, they're gonna freaking kill me. They're gonna just end the world. We're fudged. We're done. Yeah, we're done. I'm out of here. I'm out. Sorry about that breakdown. I mean, I have the fate of the world in my hands. But anyway, after that, I met up with Misaki and Turo and explained them the situation. So they said, don't worry, we'll be cheering you on, which would not help me. But anyway, I went to Yosei and Jack, told them what Misaki and Turo told me. They said that that's exactly what the others told them. Plus, that's the only thing they can do now because they're at the hospital getting fixed up from their injuries, fighting against the ghosts. We were talking, Crow came to inform us of a team by the name of New World was added to the bracket, and by the looks of it is them. And the annoying part is, we have to beat 2 other people so we can face them in the tournament. The next day comes, and the first team we're up against is Team Sherry, a 2-member team. Their leader, Sherry LeBlanc, introduced herself to us and then told us it's their destiny to beat Team New World because revenge and stuff and blah blah blah. Who cares? Let's get to the first fight. Now the first fight is Yosei versus Ellsworth. Now the duel starts and Yosei is classic synchro summoning, but thanks to Ellsworth's reckless attacks, he managed to take down Yosei without any problem. After Yosei, it's me, and you guys might guess already, but I managed to beat him on the first try. After beating him, we have their final member, Sherry LeBlanc. Now the duel against her was like the most easiest thing in the world, and because of that, I beat her on the first try. The next day comes, and the next team we're up against is Team Ragnarok, who, you guessed it, is destined to stop Team New World and save the world and stuff. The first duel is Jack versus Dragon. Now the duel starts with both of them hitting each other with everything they have, but Dragon managed to get the upper hand and takes Jack down. After Jack, it's me, and after a while I managed to take down Dragon. Now my next opponent is Brave. Now he wasn't that strong, and because of that I managed to take him down without any problems. And after him we have the last member, Harold. Now if you guys ever saw my Yu-Gi-Oh 5DS over the Nexus series, go check it out. I actually destroyed the living crap out of all of 3 of these guys without any problems. Like if you check it out, you'll see how terrible, how fast I destroyed these guys. But anyway, after beating him, he came to congratulate us, and that also they'll be cheering for us in the finals, which, when I say it again, it's not gonna help us. The day of the finals came where the fate of everyone's future is at stake. I made it to the stadium and Yosei told us our lineup is him, Jack, and then I'm last. The first duel is Yose versus Primo. Now Primo asks Yose where I am, so they dueled, and Primo was pretty much untouchable in this whole encounter between both of them, and because of that, he managed to take Yose down without any problem. Now after Yose is Jack. The duel starts and Jack goes on the offensive, but Primo's unpenetrable defense was too strong, and thanks to that, he took Jack down without taking any damage. Now with Jack down, I'm the only person left to stop them, but with everyone's hopes and dreams on the line, I can't lose. And just then, my blank cards transform into 3 powerful cards, but I don't need these cards to win because all of my friends give me more strength than these cards can ever give me. Now the duel starts and Prismo goes straight for the Sangan. Now if you guys remember the rule that I gave Sangan like effects, it's because he will no matter what attack it first, and its effect doesn't have do you want to activate yes or no, and that's why I implemented this rule, because if I didn't, then this will be an impossible can you beat with only starter deck challenge. That's the main reason I did it, but anyway, thanks to Sangan's effect I can explode Dragon to my hand, which is what I need to take out the Mechalord monster card down. Now the reason you can do that is when it battles a monster your opponent's control and is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, destroy the monster, destroyed it, and thanks to that I managed to take Prismo down. After him we have Lester. Now his Mechalord isn't that good, but the thing is he loves to stall you, and after a while of a stall fest, I finally managed to beat him on the first try. Now there's one more person I have to take down, and that's Jakov. Now the duel against him wasn't easy, and because of that I had to try multiple times the same duel to find a weak spot. I even resorted to using one of the cards that wasn't mine, but it wasn't even helpful because its effect is that I can use one of my opponent's monster cards as synchro material, but I can do them without any turners, and on top of that, I'm fighting against Mechalords who will just equip them to them and gain their attack. Anyway, I had to retry from the start, but this time I have to be more aggressive. Now the duel started, and thanks to my aggressive strategy I defeated him and saved the world. After I won, Jacob teleported us to some place, congratulated me on winning, and says the gods must have been right to choose you. But Prismo didn't believe that. He said we created our own futures with our own 2 hands. Jacob and Lester agreed and then sent me back to my friends to tell them the good news. And knowing that, we hopped into duel honors for a victory lap. A few days passed and me, Misaki and Turo are the finals, up against 5D's, and the first duel is Turo versus a Crow. While they were dueling, Misaki looks at me and thanks for saving their future. And with that, we're done. So, can you beat Yu-Gi-Oh! 5DS over the Nexus with just your starter deck? Yes you can. It might be tough around chapter 5, but as long as you have hope and a lot of free time, you can do it. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys later. Don't forget to subscribe and have a nice day.